Hey guys, welcome to our new podcast.
Which should actually be called an awkward recording for our voices because I never thought that it would be this weird, this awkward, talking to a microphone sitting next to someone I've known for so long.
And even though it's kind of cringeworthy and weird, but we've been thinking about this for a long time, and even after thinking about it for a long time, we haven't been able to come up with a suitable name for a podcast. So right now we're going to call it the Pillowtalk Podcast.
Now, before you guys get weirded out and ask yourselves why a podcast with two men on it is being called Pillow Talk,
It's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing wrong about
nothing
it.
wrong about it, but you have to conform to societal norms, which is why I'll let you know what Pillow Talk actually means in this context. So, Pillow Talk can be a variety of things. It can be before or after being intimate, or without that at all, which is the case here.
Maybe.
The point of Pillow Talk is for two people to enjoy each other's presence through conversation and to just, help each other go to bed with clear heads.
This is as per Urban Dictionary, which is the best dictionary out there. No Oxford can stand a chance against the Urban Dictionary. So this is what we're going to follow, and that's why we're going to be called the Pillow Talk Podcast.
So, since this is our first recording, you guys should know who we are. I am Jai. I am in my second year, but I am supposed to be in my third year. So I took a drop year, and for anyone out there, you should know that it's absolutely fine to take an extra year before starting your graduation, or once you've started, it's fine to take an extra year to complete the credits.
Nobody calls Jay a failure here, especially not me.
And we will continue to do that as long as this podcast is running.
And my name is Manan. I'm in my third year. I'm still studying, and I have 2 months of college left, but I don't know what to do after this. So I hope this takes us through some time and gets us somewhere where we don't know we should be.
See, the main goal from this podcast is to earn enough money to drop out of college and then return to complete our degrees. Just like Shah Rukh Khan, the only difference being that we guys are actually smart and we don't use cocaine as often as he does.
I think Shah Rukh completed his degree, but he just didn't take it from his college.
See, that's just manipulation. When you haven't completed your degrgy. But
I think it's fine as long as we're not coked up or a chain smoker. I think it's fine.
Yeah. So most of you are not most of you. I'm hoping each and every one of you is at home and you guys are practicing social distancing, quarantining yourselves, whatnot, to make sure that the coronavirus that has become a pandemic now is not being transmitted to you or through you to anyone else.
So after that security warning by Jay, I think we should just clear out what this podcast is. We're just basically going to talk about whatever the hell is happening in the world, and by that we don't mean it in a negative way. We can mean it in a positive, silly, goofy manner where we can just talk about what's happening in the news, what's happening with world politics, what's happening in the sporting field, whatever we want to talk about and you want to listen about, we'll just talk about that. But because of the social scenario right now, we thought it was adequate to talk about the coronavirus that has been spread. So we'll be talking about it, putting our views forward, and you can connect with us through our platforms as well.
So the overall theme of the podcast that you guys might be able to observe through the various videos that we will put out is that it's going to follow a what the hell is happening theme, where we talk about things that require our attention, that require your attention. And if you think that we are cowards for not discussing the CAA and NRC NPR debate on this podcast as the first thing that goes out, then please be rest assured that you are absolutely 100% right. We are cowards. In spite of that, we felt that the coronavirus is a better thing to talk about right now because there is a lot of misinformation. There's a lack of information rather that is very prevalent in society, and one of the best ways to deal with something that you don't know enough about is to learn about it.
And we're not experts ourselves, but we just like to have our opinions being heard by everyone at all times. So we've fact checked a lot of our information, and we hope the information that we are providing to you is correct, and we hope everyone out there is safe. So let's just get into it, because right now I'm scared, and Jay isn't. So I want to ask Jay why he's not scared about the coronavirus.
See, if you want my honest answer, then the answer is that Ram Bhaiya will take care of me. But otherwise, if we have to be very rational about it, then I feel that as long as everyone on a very individual level is taking the precautions that are necessary, then it should get to a situation that cannot be dealt with later.
I think everyone has a basic understanding of what a virus is. We should actually talk about how it spreads, because a lot of the people have a lot of doubts about how it actually spreads. So it basically spreads if you're in contact with some person. Says about 6 feet distance from a person is adequate enough to not be in contact with them. And if someone say coughs or sneezes on you with the droplets, it says, then you might be at a risk of contracting the virus. So make sure you're distancing yourself from people. You're isolating yourselves. You're taking care of people who are old and who don't have their immune systems working very well. Uh, so make sure you're away from that, and just make sure that if you have any problem, like if you're coughing or have the mildest of symptoms, you just go to a doctor and just show it to them straight away.
The problem is that if you don't clean your hands regularly, then there is a tendency, as all humans have, to touch your faces, touch your eyes, touch your mouth, and that again acts as an entry point for the virus.
So I have one question. Do you think China did this on purpose?
Uh,
Like a lot of the news says that this was a biological weapon that they were trying to manufacture and somehow leaked. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
So, see, there are again two sides to each story. The US believes that China did this to use as a weapon in terms of biological warfare. But China claims that, so China hosts some military championship every year where countries from all around the world they send their military contingents. USA is supposedly the contingent which wins every year, but this year the contingent that was sent didn't win. And China believes that this is because the US on purpose sent people who were carrying this infection into their country to, carry out the necessary damage.
Also, I think the numbers in China are grossly unreported. Like underreported, not unreported, underreported. Like even though the numbers are extremely high, by statistics it says there are a total of 80,967 cases in China, which I believe are a lot, but still less by Chinese standards. And the deaths that they quote right now are around 3,200. So, do you think the numbers are underreported in China?
Yeah,
Also,
definitely.
another point is that even though they started somewhere in December, they didn't
Was
release
reported
information
in
about it.
31st December.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't release information about it for like a month.
So, see, this is where the conspiracies come to an end, according to me, because if you look at the blame game that's being played, then the one major issue that China needs to tackle is that all countries are asking them why the entire issue of the coronavirus was actually tried to, be suppressed within
Yeah.
inside the country. Because the thing is that if you do start tracing the facts, then this does come from the wet markets of Wuhan, where it jumped from a bat to a pangolin and then to humans. So the problem at that time was that even though the Chinese government, the Chinese healthcare industry, they did detect that some kind of a virus was, part of the society now, and there was no cure for it. What they did was they just tried to make sure that this information doesn't leave the country. The doctors who had actually discovered this were told to keep their mouth shut. And what's the worst thing about this is that China hosts a potluck dinner in Wuhan every year, which sees around 40,000 people coming from various parts and getting food that they've made at home, which everyone shares. So, in spite of a virus that was being transmitted through physical contact, a virus that had no cure, and Chinese officials being very, very well aware of the risks that were involved, they went on with the Wuhan potluck dinner. which is when the transmission through various national borders started happening.
I think even after some time, China, like once China was infected and some of the other Southeast Asian countries that were infected by it, I think they took enough measure to like control it within these countries. But I think as soon as the center shifted more towards Europe and Italy, I think that's where the whole world started facing it, because the thing with Europe is being the center of everything in terms of trade and in terms of economy and everything. I think the number of flights that Europe has in connect, like first of all, every flight from Asia to US will have a stoppage somewhere in Europe. Every flight from that side will have a stoppage in Europe. So I think a lot of it started culminating once it hit Italy. And in Italy, it says right now there are 41,000 cases with 3,400 deaths, which are reported more than the Chinese deaths, with roughly half as many cases. So the situation in Italy is really bad right now, along with other European countries like Spain and Germany, where essentially people are inside, like they have been
They've
under
been put under
lockdown. Yeah,
lockdown,
they've
yeah.
been put under lockdown, and I think that's what is going to happen in our country at some point if it's not controlled very well.
So, I agree with what you're saying that the lockdown should only be made necessary in a situation where things go south from where they are right now. And I think that's what actually happened in Italy, is that for a very long time they did not feel that it was something that was actually worth their attention and their time. And this continued till it got so bad that now the entire country, it cannot afford to leave their houses for another, say, 2.5 to 3 weeks. And the problem with this is that, see, you and I, we can afford to stay at home
Yeah,
and carry on with
work, yeah.
whatever work we need to do, whatever studying we need to do. But the people who are actually affected the most by issues and pandemics and epidemics like these are people who do not enjoy financial monetary privilege, who need to get out of their houses every day to earn
basically
bread.
your daily wage
Yeah, daily wage
workers.
laborers,
Yeah.
people who come to our houses to help us out, to make sure that we are living comfortably. These are the people who are actually getting the most affected, and they do not have enough, they do not have enough avenues to seek for redressal, because they will not just stop working in case they feel that, I have a dry cough, oh, I have a sore throat.
Yeah.
These things don't matter to them as much as they do to us.
And I think because of that, I have this like I don't know if I'm right about this, but I think the numbers in India are also very underreported.
Yeah.
It says India has roughly about 200 or something cases. I'm not sure. Let me just check. It says India has 206 cases with 5 deaths and 12 new cases as per 20th March. I think 200 is too less for a country as big as India. And it says Maharashtra has about 50 cases on its own. So that's 1/4 cases just in Maharashtra. Then, so okay, I understand why Maharashtra will be the center, because a lot of international
Travel
flights go
goes, yeah.
there, yeah. But I think Delhi is also very underreported. And I think a lot of other states have to be underreported. But it's really funny how states which are not very well developed are the states which are the safest at the moment.
Yeah.
So people in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, UP, I'm assuming they're safe, but we don't know about the numbers that they're going. What do you think are the actual numbers in India right now?
So you can call me an optimistic asshole or whatever you want to, but I do feel that the situation in India is not that bad right now.
It's not that bad, but I think it's still underreported.
Yeah, it's still
Because I think a
underreported.
lot of people in our country, because it says 80% of the cases of coronavirus are mild. So sometimes you can just get confused.
Yeah, it
get
is
confused
being-
with common cold or flu, and then just treat it with your normal paracetamol and stuff, and you'll be okay in a
It
while. You
goes
just
away.
didn't get tested is what's happening. Plus, the protocol of testing in India
Exactly.
is weird as such that you can't get tested unless you've come from an infected
Or
country,
you've had direct
or you've had
contact
direct
with
contact with someone who's come from an outside country. So the way we are testing is also completely incorrect, which is why I feel there must be somewhere around 1,000 cases in India probably more that we just don't know about.
Yeah, probably. So I agree that the testing criteria right now is extremely narrow, and the only thing that such a narrow criteria does is that again it does not cater to everyone, because see, a single test of the COVID-19 is going to cost around roughly 5,000 rupees. So if
Is
you,
it?
yeah,
That's
that's
expensive.
what I read.
That's expensive.
And the kit for the testing is also not readily available. There are only a certain few hospitals that have the kits available with them. So the problem again becomes that the testing criteria being so narrow, the number of tests being done being so low, the problem with that becomes that you don't have an accurate representation of what the situation is like in the country. That might give you false hope, or that might give you the encouragement to do things that you're not supposed to be doing in this time, and that is, you know that is just putting us in more danger.
False hope reminds me of our PM's address to the country yesterday, which I didn't think was fruitful enough, and I thought it could have been done through a single tweet
Yeah.
where he could have just said that we'll be having a curfew on the 22nd, not till 22nd, but on the 22nd. I think like to some degree, I think they're just trying out what will happen in case
I don't
case there's
think
a
it's a
lockdown.
solitary move.
Yeah, I think it's just a pilot program where they're just thinking about stuff that can happen. So, but I think it was just unnecessary, a waste of 30 minutes. Where, but like I respect the thought that he said that we should genuinely appreciate the health workers and the people who are actually working on the ground at this moment, while we can enjoy the comfort of sitting at our homes
Definitely.
and still be like not be affected by it.
Yeah, overall, I felt that the address, serving whatever purpose it was supposed to serve, it left out a lot of things that needed to be covered in terms of at least the impact of the actions that they are, prescribing. So it's fine. The Janta curfew on the 22nd is great, like good work. But the citizens deserve to know what it is going to bear in terms of fruit later on. Because right now there's just this state of confusion that, oh, if I sit at home for one day, what's going to happen? Because coronavirus doesn't show symptoms till up until at least, 6 to 7 to 14
Yeah.
days. So what is the one day of confinement going to do? And again, so like all of us must have heard that there's going to be a 5-minute session where all of us have to stand at our doors, balconies, roofs, and
Clap
just clap
yeah.
once we hear the siren for everyone who's putting their lives at risk and everything. That's a great move. I mean, that's good. We are appreciating them. We are showing our gratitude. But is it going to have any tangible impact? If so, then how?
I mean, I think not everything should be correlated with having tangible impact. I think it's just one of those moves which will help spread a little amount of positivity in the lives
that's true.
when so many people, including me, are panicking to some degree, are having negative thoughts about what implications it will have on everything, on me, on my family, on the people who I love, who are with me. But I think it was slightly like I think he should have talked more about how we're planning to cope with it, like how the hospitals are equipped to cope with it. What if cases rise in India? What will happen? Like all these implications, I expected him to talk about, but I'm assuming that down the line, if he has to do it, I think he will. He will have to do it at some point.
Even USA for that matter, like I felt USA was very late in taking action, and the major attention that was drawn to the entire the
Whole
pandemic and how easily it was spreading was when it started affecting the sports world.
Yeah.
So with the NBA shutting down, everyone was taken aback that how can something that gets so much revenue and that gets
And
so many people
the-
involved.
The weird thing is they shut it down on the day someone tested positive.
Yeah.
Not when they thought that someone might test positive. Like they didn't take precautionary measures
Before, yeah.
Yeah, they just stopped it the day someone tested positive, which we both think was a tad bit late for the US, but now they've apparently locked down the whole of California. 40 million
has the
citizens.
highest population in any of the US states.
40 million.
For them to go on lockdown, it's actually a big deal. The problem with USA is that, again, with the disease, the major issue, the underlying issue is that symptoms don't show up until very late. So, say 6 to 14 days, till then, the symptoms do not show. And the problem that keeps coming up with that is that you don't know who to avoid and who not to avoid, which is why we see that every day, especially in the sports world, because there's so much attention that they draw to themselves. There are new cases coming up every day. So recently, Kevin Durant got diagnosed. Two people from the Lakers organization are said to have been tested positive.
Yeah, but we still don't have names at this point.
Yeah, and
it's not LeBron. He was on his Instagram live.
I can't bear to hear that it is LeBron, even though I don't like him. But
just nobody gets it. Like, he was on Instagram live today and he didn't show any symptoms. He didn't cough.
No one is showing any symptoms. I'm just praying to God.
Tom Hanks got tested.
Yeah, Tom Hanks got.
And he got tested positive in Australia
with his wife.
With his wife, yeah.
And I haven't heard of a lot of cases happening inside of Australia. So I don't know what the actual numbers are there. We'll just check and let you know.
But I think what Australia has done is they've stopped people who don't have a student or a work visa to come into their country. Like, they've literally shut down all tourists. Like, no tourist visas are applicable, which is good. I think like they're catering to their own people. Yeah, which is good. I think that is where India couldn't help but deal with the situation, because a lot of Indian students are studying abroad, especially from Delhi, Mumbai, and places where people can afford to study abroad. I think India can't just shut doors to its citizens and say, ki, no, you're not allowed. Yeah, so a lot of the people from the US, from the UK, from Australia have come back. And I think one of the cases that came up was a guy in Kolkata, an 18-year-old boy who came back from the UK and got tested positive on the second day of coming back, after he met his mother and his mother came in contact with 20 other government officials. So I think we're just getting a little late at every point to diagnose this. And there was another story from Mayur Vihar or Noida or somewhere like that, where the guy got tested positive and he had hosted a birthday party for
150 people. So this is a story that's coming out of, I think, either Shiv Nadar School or Shri Ram Millennium in Noida. And the child whose birthday party it supposedly was in first grade or second grade, and he had 150 people turn up to his birthday. I don't think I've had 150 people turn up cumulatively to my birthdays till now.
You don't have enough friends. Your only friend is recording a podcast with
you. Which is why this is called Pillowtalk, guys.
Yes, and another one of our friends is in Canada doing well. Fingers crossed. We want him to come back, but he's being an asshole. But yeah, he has his own reason. I think honestly, Canada is a little safer than India right now, especially being a developed country. And now that they've closed borders, also, I think they're safer than India, because I also, the reason I'm actually scared is because in India the density of population is so high that
especially in the areas that we live in.
Yeah, people can't keep a 6 feet distance. Like, this is not how we walk. if we don't walk in a herd, then we're not walking.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm scared of it being a really I hope not, but I'm scared of it being a bad situation in India. But I hope, because I think people have started being
taking
cautious.
Measures, yeah.
I think we'll be fine. Touch wood. But I think that there were a lot of other Indian cases as well, where people tested positive, but they had interacted with a lot of people. So I hope a lot of those people who they interacted with are not showing any symptoms, are okay at the moment. But surprisingly, a lot of the cases came out from Noida and Ghaziabad. And there are around...
That is where the real money is.
A lot of... I think there were around... there are still about three cases in Gurgaon. And a lot of it...
coming from Ghaziabad and Noida, from that side overall.
But one good thing that came out was, as soon as the first couple of cases were out in Delhi, we shut down stuff very quickly. People were more informed about not playing Holi. People were more informed about not having a public gathering again, very quickly, the shopping malls, the cinema halls, the colleges were shut down, which I think was a great move by both the central and the state governments.
Yeah, that's true. And there are still people who think that, social distancing is a joke and it's not going to help. So, just a disclaimer for you guys suck. If anything happens to our country, it's because of you.
If anything happens to me, I'll kill you.
Yeah. And if there's anything that goes wrong, I swear to God, I'll hunt each of you down and I'll make sure that you're made to leave this country immediately. But apart from that, I do feel that we've taken appropriate measures at more or less the right time, and that's going to help us minimize the damage that we are inevitably going to face.
I think a lot of the damage, like apart from the social damage that we'll face, is going to come from like the economic side of things as well. The market, the stock market is crashing down. A lot of the stocks are like going under. I've personally faced losses, which I don't want to discuss about. But I think a lot, like it will, again, obviously, it will create an economic impact both in terms of like tourism. Like India gets a lot of tourism in the service industry, and it's not going to get it for a good time. Like I think, what do you think would be the timeline for not having a good tourism, like in any country for that matter?
So, see, at least a month.
No, let me ask you, how long do you think this stuff will go on for, like the coronavirus?
Okay, fine. So, again, like I mentioned earlier, I am being very optimistic with the entire situation. And so, see, today is the 20th of March. I feel that everyone will be much less paranoid and much less worried about all of this in about exactly a month. So 20th April, I feel, is when everyone will just be able to go out of their houses, live lives as they have been doing so before before this virus came about and before the risk came known to us.
I think a lot of it depends on the amount and the quality of information that will be made available to the citizens as well, because still there's so much ambiguity about what is happening, how many people are impacted, how should we take care of ourselves is going around, that citizens don't even know what to abide by and what not to abide by. Like some people don't know how to exactly follow social distancing as well. So I mean, that will create a problem. But again, talking about the economic impact, I think tourism will take a hit for easily about like 6 months, probably more. And we were reading a few articles while preparing for this podcast, and we read that the UN Conference of Trade and Development has estimated a loss of about $350 million in trade for India.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot, especially for a declining economy. like it's not like we're doing very well,
and we can just sustain anything that comes our way.
A $350 million loss is a lot, and but like at the same time, a lot of our imports are from China as well, so that will create a negative impact on it. A lot of our exports are to the US, which will create an impact. So $350 million seems a solid amount to me. But I think at the same time, like you correctly pointed out before this podcast, is how India is going to benefit from the whole situation
as the Asian superpower. So yeah, what I was saying was that with China, being the epicenter, now it's Europe, but earlier obviously it was China, since that is where the virus came out of. The thing is that with investors' confidence going down in the Chinese manufacturing units, just the Chinese trade in general, what that might help India to do is emerge as the superpower in Asia, which it's been trying to do for a very long time. And that is one way that I do feel that the economy will benefit from everything that's happening in and around the world. Another thing that I noticed, not this doesn't involve India, at least for now it doesn't, is that ever since the Cold War ended, there have been times of conflict within the great powers. Great powers right now I'm talking about Russia, USA,
Nice.
China.
I think Russia hasn't reported many cases, have they?
I don't know. I don't know what Russia reports.
Nobody
and
knows what
it
Russia
doesn't.
has.
Yeah, you just get to know that fine, Russia's done this, Russia's done that.
It says Russia has about 200 cases with one death.
Oh, that's great.
In a country that
true.
huge.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
But
so-
again, information from these
don't know.
countries is again.
Yeah, so coming back to what I was talking about, so the superpowers, if you talk about Russia, China, and USA, then when it comes to collective good of the world, then they have acted in unison with each other. But right now, I feel that after 1991, that is when the Cold War reportedly ended. I don't know if
Cold
it's
War
ever
never
ended.
ended.
Yeah. So after that, I think this is the first time that two superpowers, namely USA and China, are at are clearly at war with each other. The US president, that we all know for whatever reasons, has kept calling this virus the Chinese
Chinese
virus.
virus, yeah.
And even though, fine, you might want to call it that because of the country that it came out of, it's still a very racist.
Do you think it's a racist comment?
I think it's a racist comment because, see, a Chinese virus for people.
I think it has different connotations. But
If
it
you
completely
say to
depends on-
someone who is a Chinese person
Yeah.
living in the US,
yeah,
So-
again, I mean, it has different connotations, but it completely depends on how you
you
speak
put it
out.
forward.
Yeah.
And you saw in the press conference that Trump organized that he did mean it in a slightly derogatory way. So that is one thing that I don't know how it's going to fare out or if it's going to have any impact at all on the global economy. But
I think there will
we'll
be
have
a-
to wait and see.
I just read a statement by Mr. Anand Mahindra where he said that there's going to be a very strong recession after this, like during and after this whole thing.
That's
like-
not nice. I'm supposed to graduate next year.
Yes,
I
we
want.
need-
I want a job.
We want jobs. We want money. Please, you guys, do social distancing.
And also, if you just want to sponsor us, then that's also fine. We are cool with not working as long as we have money to
Yeah,
spend.
do you think we should start a Patreon? Just give us money and we'll put content out for you.
Yeah, anything. You shouldn't be worried about will they be comfortable putting this out. We'll put anything out.
We're comfortable talking about anything, which is why it's called Pillowtalk.
Yes. My parents are going to be hearing this. I don't know what they're going to think after they find out that I am having or I am indulging in pillow talk with Manan. But
My parents are already scared about that. So, what do you think about the fatality rate? Like, it says that there are just about 10,000 deaths that there have been throughout like 200 or 300,000 cases that have been reported. So, I think that number is very low. But again, like, you don't correlate everything with death because
Yeah.
a lot of it comes from the place of suffering as well. Like, you don't want to suffer. Death is fine. But
if it's happening, it's happening.
yeah, death is fine. But if you're suffering for like a good 2 weeks, because I read the first person who got, like right now, the first person in India who got it, the first Indian who got it, he was in quarantine for about 15 days. Like, not quarantine, he was treated for 15 days, after which he felt better. So even 15 days of suffering with that amount of dry cough, with the fever, about
With no one being allowed to come near you.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that's a very
It's a tough
again, we have to,
situation.
we have to talk about the mental health challenges that it also poses on a lot of people. Not really, like on everyone it will. Like someone who's been put into quarantine or who is going to be put into quarantine, who's scared about that, I think it'll take a lot of like mental strength to go through those 15-20 days of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you take me for example, then it's just pure paranoia that is causing me to induce the symptoms of coronavirus. So if I keep thinking that, oh no, my throat is closing up, oh I have cough, or oh do I have fever, then I will convince myself that I am feeling warmer than usual. Oh, I need to go drink water, otherwise I'll keep coughing the entire night. And these aren't things that are actually happening to me. It's just the paranoia that has been set into society that's causing all of this to take place.
Jay is saying this as I'm touching my forehead, checking the temperature right now.
Yeah, so the overall situation with regard to mental health is bad.
But I think it gets worse when you see pictures of the quarantine outside, like the Delhi airport, because it says I read it like a few days back when it said that it had 50 people, 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and the bathrooms were in abysmal condition. Like like nobody should go to that bathroom. If you don't have anything, you'll get something from that bathroom. And I think it's so traumatic for anyone who's coming out, like coming from another country to India, just thinking in the worst case scenario, if they're put there, that's scary.
Yeah, because that doesn't ensure recovery in any way.
Exactly. And like oh my god, it's scary.
And the worst part is that Manan is telling me what a shared bathroom is like. So I have to share a bathroom in my hostel with everyone on my floor.
But I hope it's clean.
So see, that is what the
Did
assumption.
you see the pictures?
The assumption is that my bathrooms would be clean, but there are people who just don't want to flush after they've taken a shit.
We'll talk about Jai's bathroom crisis in a later podcast.
And it's sad because I think that they're doing it on purpose. Like they take a shit and they don't want to press the flush. They just want the next person to come and do it.
I think that's some sort of high that they get from not flushing and making other people suffer.
I think it's the engineers.
But I think this is where we should applaud the companies that are doing bits for these people. Like I heard in AeroCity, they're providing bedrooms, like basically full isolation quarantine bedrooms for people at $3,100 with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which
being I think served in your room, like you don't have to move at all.
Yeah, which I think is a great move by a lot of the companies. But again, they're facing a lot of losses at this moment. Nobody is coming for their rooms anyway, so might as well do that. So I think it's good. Like even though they're doing business, but like I think it's pretty cool what they're doing.
See, if you look at all the things that we've spoken about in consolidation right now, then the problems that I feel are very prevalent and the solutions that need to be implemented, again, this is my opinion, and this in no way guarantees success or anything. But I just feel that there needs to be more of an incentive to private hospitals to ensure that they procure the necessary equipment for testing, so that it leads to at least a horizontal expansion of the testing avenues. And then at the same time, we need to make sure that there's no undue profiteering that's going on due to a crisis, say in the tourism industry, in the hotel industry, in the hospitality industry, or the medical industry.
Yeah, I think I think when there was a dengue crisis or something like a few years back, I think a lot of the the government stepped up and they said no test would cost more than $600.
Yeah.
So they put a line on that. So which I think would be the case in it will happen if this becomes a greater issue in our country, which I think is a good move again. But I think I read another article where somebody talked about how basically we don't have enough power to have those many cases. Like we don't have enough hospitals, enough beds
to deal with
the crisis,
a large volume of cases.
This huge. So that scares me a little bit. And then there were reports where experts were saying that we should turn our stadiums into hospitals and stuff. That shit scares me. I just don't want to go to hospital. Bottom line.
So. See, in our country, there are people. So, our country records, I think, the highest number of cases by road accidents on a daily basis. There's not a lot of attention there. Our country records almost 2 lakh deaths a year because of tuberculosis, something that other countries have learned how to tackle. So, in our country, problem is in terms of capability, in terms of assertion and application. So even if you want to do something, do we have enough resources? Do we have the capabilities to back up that assertion?
Yeah, I think there's too much uncertainty at this moment.
There's just not enough information available to us to feel safe about the future. But at this point, at least.
Let's just bring in a little bit of positivity here. According to reports, Canada has separated the virus or something which will make it easier for them to come up with a vaccination for coronavirus, which I think is a good thing. Other than that, I read articles about how a 103-year-old woman survived, which is...
That's great. Hats off to the woman, hats off to the doctors who have to do it.
Yeah.
And so another fun or interesting thing that you might want to know is why is this called Corona, and does it have anything to do with the beer that we also That all of us
Corona
love.
beer
They have
tanked by
it
30%.
has gone down. They have. I don't think they've ever faced these many losses because Corona is very tasty. So the origin of the name actually, Corona in Spanish means a crown. So the people who named the beer wanted it to be known as, sort of a luxury beer that only the kings and the queens drink. Why is the virus called the coronavirus? Is that the shape of the virus or the bacteria which is causing it, and when it multiplies, it takes the shape of a crown,
Great
which
piece
is
of
why
trivia.
it is called the coronavirus.
You know what? A lesser known fact about this is so my mom's a veterinarian and she has a vaccination for coronavirus, but that's for dogs. So a lot of the dogs are like not a lot. Every dog has to be vaccinated for coronavirus, and the coronavirus was a major issue. Like it's still somewhat a major issue in dogs, but now that there's like vaccination and stuff for that.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that much, but again, it's as deadly as it is in humans as well. So that's a good thing. And a lot of people have asked her about a possible vaccination for humans. Like they've come into her clinic and just gone like,
हम
doctor,
ये वाला injection लगा ले क्या?
doctor, we need an injection. And I don't know, I said, give it to them.
This is what I meant by preventing profiteering from crisis.
I said, inject it. Just tell them that it's gonna cost you about $25,000.
That's all.
That's all, $25,000, and inject it to the whole family. If something happens, देख लेंगे. But I think we have a little bit of positivity coming out from China as well, where they've closed down their last. Apparently, they've closed down their last emergency hospital
because there
for
aren't enough cases to
coronavirus.
sustain the hospital anymore.
Yeah, so that's.
And yeah, I mean there are a lot of.
I
good
think a
things
lot of
happening.
Southeast Asian countries have also controlled, like
Not
Singapore
Iran.
for that matter.
Yeah, so Middle East, once you start coming towards the Middle East, it's getting slightly bad. But Southeast Asia, yeah, they're doing a great job at containing the.
Like we've
Entire
heard close to zero information from Saudi Arabia as well. Like I don't know what's happening in Saudi at this moment. There's 274 cases in Saudi, 0 deaths.
No, that's great.
Again, information from Saudi.
Yes.
We don't know information from Saudi because reporters get shot.
Yeah, so if you look at the overall situation, I mean, it is bad, but it might not be as bad as it's being made out to be on Instagram, on Facebook, and
I think it's
various
serious.
videos
I think
on
it's
YouTube.
serious, but it's not like I don't know. I don't want to say it's not bad because
Yeah,
I'm scared.
it is bad. So if you want to compare, the coronavirus to other things that have happened, like SARS or something like that, the problem with that is that SARS had a mortality rate of almost 34%, and that's very high. The difference between the two and why coronavirus has caused, has caused more chaos is that coronavirus has become a transnational phenomenon. Is that it's jumping from country to country and it's changing epicenters. So that is what is scary about this, and it's just a very major lack of information in terms of who you're supposed to hang out with, who you're not supposed to hang out with, how you might be contracting the infection.
Again, final thoughts. When do you think?
So I am saying 20th April we'll all be good to go. We'll be planning trips.
Do you think 1 month of self isolation is enough to like cause the graph to like flatten out?
Yeah, because see, self-isolation for a month gives clarity on who is infected, who isn't.
That's true.
And that gives you the avenue to, be
But
selective in
again, I
terms
think
of interaction.
yeah, I think you'll be more selective, but you won't be as free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
So again, guys, on a final note, stay safe. Wash your hands 15,000 times a day. Don't waste water while you're doing that. Use hand
Turn off the
sanitizers.
tap.
Use hand sanitizers. Take all the precautions that have been given by the WHO. Do what Modi ji is saying because it will help somewhere down the line. And please just take care of yourself. If you think there's even a slightest chance that you're infected or someone near you is infected, please get tested somehow. Just don't treat it as something normal and basic. Just get it tested. Stay safe and please take care of yourselves.
And social distancing is important, guys. And if you're in a situation where you just necessarily have to go out, have to go to a crowded place, please make sure that you cover your face and you wash your eyes as regularly as possible, and also your hands. So, and also if there's anything that you feel that we might have said that's incorrect or does not make sense, please feel free to reach out to us.
Or have said something wrong about this, please. Yeah.
And again, these are our opinions. These in no way are to be enforced by you or by people in your lives. And this is again a great way to spend time while you're in isolation,
solitude.
So I think this is a perfect time period for us to reach the 10,000 subscribers mark
within this week, within the coronavirus
it
duration.
has to happen now, guys.
10,000. Also, guys, you can reach out to us on our individual Instagram handles. My Instagram handle is Manankalra98.
And mine is Jai Malhotra 29. We'll be adding all of this in the description as well.
And we'll probably have an Instagram page for the podcast as well, so you can reach out to us there as well.
In case you guys observe later on that our Instagram aesthetic is very dismal, then
please sponsor us.
Sponsor us or just try and help us out, because we suck at it.
Yeah. And I think that's about it. If you have any recommendations, anything, you can hit us up.
Or anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah, because we genuinely have opinions on everything, which is why it's called the Pillowtalk Podcast.
Yeah, hope you guys had fun. Bye.
Thanks, guys.